Welcome back. Today we're going to go back and review some things that we have seen and worked on with bar graphs. So this is an assignment on SeeSaw, so I thought I could hit a couple of things at one time. I could talk to you about the tools on SeeSaw and how to use those effectively, and we could also cover bar graphs. So I want you to look at the data that is given over here on this bar graphs. On this table. What is it that they used to gather their votes? Tally marks. Good. What is the title of this graph? Favorite pets. So whenever it says to put the totals over here, it's blank. You have to do that. So the first thing this wanted you to do, it wanted you to, anytime you need to type something, you got to come over here in the text. And when it always pops up right in the middle. So if you guys go ahead and count the fish, how many votes are there for fish? There were 5. 5 people chose fish as their favorite pet, so I'm going to push 5. And then whenever I'm ready to resize that or move it or get off of it, I'm going to go down here to this little hand at the bottom, and I'm going to click it. That's kind of like getting my mouse back in charge instead of typing text. So now I'm able to resize this if I want to make it smaller. I can move to where it has the big plus sign, and I can move it like this wherever I want it to go. And I could also do other things if I wanted to click on those little dots underneath. I'm not worried about the font or anything right now, and I'm not worried about it being perfect. So that's all I'm going to do for now. I'm going to get off of that. I'm ready to type again. I want you to look at turtles. How many votes did turtles get? 3. Good. So I'm going to hit the 3. Now it's not where I want it to be. I need to put it over in that table. So I go down here and hit the hand, and that lets me move and resize my numbers. So I'm going to put that right there, and I'm going to click off of it because now I'm ready to do something else. How many did dogs get? 6, because there were 5 and then 1 more. So I hit the text, type 6, and then I come down and get the hand because that lets me resize it and adjust it. And it lets me move it. Remember, you can also change colors over here on this side. You can do a lot of things with it, but we're not expecting it to be perfect. That's why I'm not taking a lot of time making them all look the exact same. I just want you to know how to use these tools if you were assigned something on SeeSaw, okay? I want to make sure we're reviewing that. What about horse? Only 2 people voted for horse. So I'm going to put it there. I'm going to get my little hand. I've got to move it. It's not where I want it to be. 2. Okay, what about elephant? How many elephant? 7. How'd you see that? 5 and 2 more make 7. Okay, and you can see the cluster. When they do number 5 shuts the door on the tally marks, that makes 5. Okay, last one. How many people voted for cat? 3. Good. I'm going to get my little hand down here, adjust the size, and move it down here. The first thing that you were asked to do, or that you would be asked to do on this one, is to finish getting the totals based off of the data that was given to you in tally marks. So then it wants you to take that information and it wants you to put it over here in this bar graph on the side. Now we know a bar graph has to have a title. Does this have a title? Sure does. We know that it has to have your labels on the bottom. So right here, this one would say fish and then turtle. I know you can't see them. This one's blank. What came after turtle over here? Dog. So I'm going to get one of those text boxes and I'm going to type dog. And then how do I move it? That's right. I've got to get my little hand over here. I got to make it smaller. So I move it right here. I don't want it to cover up the other ones. So I'm going to drag this side in. I'm going to drag this side in, and voila, looky there. So now I have fish, turtle, dog, horse. What's missing here? Elephant is the next one. Notice it's just going right down this chart. So we need to get a text box. And we need to type elephant. Now we want to spell elephant correctly because it's spelled right there for us. I'm going to get my box. I'm going to bring it in. I'm going to make it smaller. And I'm going to put it where I want it. Still too big, so I'm going to have to make it smaller. Here we go. And you just keep moving it until you get it how you want it to be. I see cat is there. So is that all of the animals? Yeah, it sure is. So now let's look at the data that we were given. I see that we got to actually fill in the bars now. So we're going to use colors down here. Remember, this is like a really thin, like a pencil. And these are like pens. Here's a marker. That's the one I think I'll use. This one is like a highlighter, and it has a lot of white to it. I think it's supposed to be silvery, but it makes it really hard to see on paper. And here's an eraser if we make a mistake. So you all know it's fine to make mistakes. You just got to learn from them and move on, right? So we got to fix them whenever we make a mistake. So I noticed that fish have 5. So I'm going to use a color, and I'm going to start with yellow. So I'm going to go above fish, but here's what I notice. I see 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. I don't see a 5. So I got to think about a number line. In a number line, where would the number 5 fall? The number 5 is right here, right? Would you agree? It's right in between 4 and then 5 and then 6. It'd be halfway between 4 and 5. So I'm going to draw my line across, and then I'm going to fill it in all the way down. Remember, it's not just an empty one. An empty bar, when you make a bar graph, you've got to color it all the way in. So I'm not letting go, and I'm moving. Sometimes for you guys, you might want to use 2 hands. So you might want to hold down your mouse with one hand, and you might want to move with the other one, because I know that the whole holding with one finger and moving, that's a pretty tricky thing to do at your age. So you might have to use 2 hands to control the mouse if you're working on a laptop of some sort, okay? If you're doing this on a tablet, I think it'll be really easy for you to color in with your fingers. So that's just a little tip. Now I'm going to change colors. I'm going to go to a pinky color, and you guys tell me the next animal's turtle. How many turtles were there? 3. Again, I don't see 3. I see 0, 2, 4, 6. Where does 3 fall? Yeah, it falls right in between the 2 and the 4. So right here in the middle, I'm going to draw my line straight over and then go down. That's how I kind of organize mine and make sure that it's as neat as it can be. I trace around where it needs to go, and then I fill in. Those things popping up and down are cracking me up. Fill in. Okay, the next one is dog. How many dogs were there? 6. Is 6 on one of the lines? Yeah, you bet it is. So let's do purple, and we're going to go up to this line right above dog, and we're going to fill in all the way down. Very good. Then you color. Fill it in. Now, what about horse? 2. I'm going to change colors. Is 2 on my graph? Yes, it is. So I'm going to see if we go bigger, if that would help. Ooh, maybe a little bit too much help, right? Yeah, so 2. So I might have to get the eraser on that one. I want it to stop right there. So see how I just erased where I wanted it to stop? Did I do that right? No, I didn't. What did I just draw the horse up to? I drew it up to 4. Miss Staten, we need it on the 2. So here it is. There we go. There's the 2. Now, let's go back to our highlighter. Let's do the next one. Elephant. How many people chose elephant as their favorite pets? 7. So I'm going to change my color, and I'm going to draw the 7. Now, what do I go up to? I see 6. I see 8. We're going right in the middle, aren't we? That's right. Right in the middle of 6 and 8 is where the 7 is. Okay. Kind of overlapped a little, so I got to fix that. Now, the next one, cat. I think maybe this, I need to go down a little. I'm having a little hard time controlling that big of a circle. The cat, there were 3, so I'm going to go down here, choose another color. And is 3 on there? No, but where is it? It's halfway in between the 2 and the 4, correct? So I'm going to color that one in that last little box right there. So there's our bar graph, okay? If I ever forget what I'm doing on an assignment in SeeSaw, right up at the top it says View Instructions. So I can click at it. Click on that. It says Slide 1. That's the first slide we're working on. Look at the tally chart. Use the text tool to write in the totals. We've done that. Use the text tool to complete the bar graph. We've done that. Be sure to fill in the missing categories and pay attention to the scale. The scale is how it's counting, and this one didn't count by ones, it counted by twos. So we already paid attention to that, and we colored in our graph. Use the text tool to write 2 sentences about the data in the purple box. Okay, so we've got to type something. We're going to get the text tool, the T tool. Remember, we can move it after we type. So what is something we can learn about this? When you're learning about graphs or writing what you've learned about graphs, you're talking about what was the favorite or which one was the most, which one was the least, things like that. So which one was the favorite animal? Elephants. So we would type elephants were the favorite animal, or we could say, how about this? And elephants had the most votes. You could even say that. Or elephants was the favorite animal, right? Okay, tell me another thing that we're going to write. Look, Miss Staten can go down here. I can get the hand because then that lets me move it. I can resize it if I want. Okay, what if I say, what's something else? There's one sentence. What else could I say? Were there any of them that had the same amount of votes? What were the 2 animals that had the same amount of votes? So we could say turtles and cats both had 3 people choose them as their favorite. I noticed that I'm going to go down here and get my thing and adjust the sizing here. I need my writing to go smaller, right? So I'm going to adjust it there, okay? Now, I'm going to say one other thing. I know it said to only do 2, but guys, on graphs, the main thing I wanted you to see today is that you are going to always see how many more questions. And how many more questions are kind of tricky because you're comparing 2 things. So when you compare 2 things, you are going to be looking at the smallest one, and then you're going to look at something that's bigger, and you're trying to find that difference, that part from here to here, okay? The difference. When you find the difference, you can either start at the biggest number and subtract the smallest, and all that's going to be left is that part in between. Or you can start at the smallest, see how much it takes you to count to the biggest, adding, right? And whenever you get to that total, the big number, you stop. Remember, your answer's in the what did you do in between those. So you can do it 2 different ways. So what if Miss Staten said, how many more people chose elephants than horses as their favorite animal? So look at elephants. How many people chose elephants? I'm going to get a color and I'm going to highlight elephants over here so that we can see. Okay, elephants, there were 7, right? How many people chose horses? 2. There's that data. So when you're comparing them, you're going to either say, I'm going to type this right here, even though it's not part of our sentences. 2 plus something equals 7. Or you're going to start with the biggest number, 7 minus 2, the part that you knew, equals something. And that something is that's the difference. The difference from 2 to 7 is that number that we're missing. Can you guys figure that out? Those are fact families. What is the fact? 2 plus what makes 7? 5. You're right. 7 minus 2 equals, 5. You got it. So up here, we're going to write that. We know 5. So we would say 5 more people or more kids. It could have been kids that voted. We don't know. 5 more people voted for, what did they vote for? What were the more people voted for elephants than what? Horses. So what we just did, we compared elephants to horses. Okay, we compared the 2. That's what we did. So we came up with a sentence that told us who had the most. And you know what? You also could say which animal was the least favorite. That would be a great sentence. Which animal was the least favorite, boys and girls? The horses were the least favorite, right? We told about something we noticed that was the same. We noticed that turtles and cats both had the same amount of votes. And then we compared one that had more to one that had less. And we told about how many people voted. We found that difference. Those were great, great things to observe when you were making bar graphs. So if I was to give you this assignment, after you would finish this page, over here on the side, there's another slide. And how fitting, even though right now it's not Christmas time, it's still everyone has seen or heard the story, the Grinch, right? How the Grinch stole Christmas. And so I think that's so cute, his little image right here. So this is the same thing. So except for here are the Whoville houses that he went to. So the Grinch went into the houses to steal the gifts. If you know the story, you know how this goes. So this bar graph teaches us how many gifts were stolen by the Grinch. So in house number 1, he took 10. But look over here. The one behind this they didn't fill up the bar to 10. So we would have to create this bar. But look at house number 2. Does it tell us how many gifts were taken by the Grinch? No. Where could we get that information? Yeah, over here on this bar graph, I look, but it's halfway up, guys. So if I go over here halfway, what is halfway between 6 and 8? I would have to type a 7 in here, right? Hit my text, type 7. I'm sorry. Hit my text, type 7. Go down and get my little hand to move it, my mouse. And I would fill in the bar graph to complete it. So some of them, the numbers over here, and you got to go put it on the bar graph. Some of them, you got to read the bar graph and then put it over here. So when you work on this assignment, I want you to think about how to do that. And I want you to then type in things that you learned about this graph. So this is a 2-part. Do the first one, okay, about favorite pets, even though Miss Staten already did the whole thing with you. You're going to do your own now, and you might type or write different things that you learned about. It might not be what I said, okay? You can do anything that you notice about the graph after you've made it. And then you're going to click on slide 2. And once you've done you made sure the table was filled out and the bar graph was filled out and you've typed your 2 learnings, you're ready to hit this green check mark and turn that in. Do you guys think that you are ready to get started? I think you are too. Best of luck, and I'll talk to you soon.